Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy Eddy Kool, aka the head of creative, and fresh off of vacation. Lord knows I'm so happy to be back. And guess what? This is another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. I lost count, but I think we had episode 85, if I'm not mistaken. Well, either way, you got me back at the helm, and I'm not by myself. Oh, no. None of that cut and paste mess this week. Try editing a podcast in an airport. It is quite the challenge. But nevertheless, I want to give a big shout out to the Money Man, Scottie D, for holding it down during my time away, aka vacation. Everything's good, fine, and dandy. And speaking of my other co-hosts, I'm introducing you, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the one, the only, the Money Man himself, Scottie D.
Welcome back, Eddy Kool. I have missed you, my friend. And I tell you, I actually feel like I was on vacation this past week because the Cowboys were on a bye week. So I was relaxed. I had my feet up, watching some golf, watching some football, stress-free. Cowboys bye week. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, they saved you some pain this week. You didn't have to watch anybody lose. You didn't have to watch them lose too hard, too fast, and too ugly. The only thing that changed is the NFC East. Yeah, it's still ugly.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
Yeah, it's still ugly. But Scottie D, before we get into that, you did mention something about the Masters, right?
Oh my goodness. It was wonderful watching a tradition unlike any other, the Masters in November. It was different, man, but it was wonderful that they were able to pull it off. Wonderful that they got that golf tournament in this year, in this craziest of years. But yeah, it was cool, man. I get to watch it. I pretty much watched it all weekend long.
All right, yeah, that's right. We got South Carolina's own, an alumni of Coastal Carolina University. Not only do they have a football team that's kicking butt and taking names, it is also home to the number one golfer in the world, Dustin Johnson, as he, on Sunday, secures his first ever green jacket. That's right, Dustin Johnson, straight out of South Carolina, whose partner is Paulina Gretzky. Woo! That's neither here nor there. Yes, sir. Smoke show.
Yep.
The number one golfer in the world is now the 2020 Masters champion. So shout out to Dustin Johnson. Now, Scottie D, we're going to let you talk about it because I do that thing on the weekend called work. So what was the Masters like? What did we see?
Well, it was very interesting because it actually looked different this year. Because, you know, every year you see it in the springtime. And this year with the afternoon shadows lurking, you know, it got dark earlier on the Masters than it traditionally has done before. Had a different look on TV. And I tell you, we talked a few months ago about how we were watching some golf whenever there was no sports on. And we watched the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open when they were on, and how it was slightly different watching these tournaments with no crowds. And, you know, we said, you know, it wasn't, we didn't really miss it that much, but I tell you, I missed it this weekend. I think the crowd would have been electric this weekend watching Dustin Johnson, the top player in the world, play like the top player in the world. I mean, you don't always see that. You don't always see a number one go out and just decimate the field like he did this past weekend. So that was one thing I noticed, is that the crowd definitely was missing from Augusta. That was the first golf tournament where I really felt, man, it would be a lot more awesome, exciting, electric. And now, you know, maybe some of that had to do with the fact that in some of these past few years at the Masters, you had a really, you know, with Tiger last year, it was electric. That he was right there at the very end, and it came down to the last couple holes. A couple years ago, you had Sergio Garcia battling out with Justin Rose. But this year, there was no drama. Early, Dustin Johnson had a 4-shot lead go down to 1, but by the end of the day, he won by 5. He actually extended his lead. He didn't hold on to win this thing. He went out and dominated. And it almost seemed like he had a little bit on Sunday afternoon, kind of getting used to it, because he was a little shaky at the start. And and we've seen that with Dustin Johnson before in majors. Matter of fact, this year at the 2020 PGA Championship, he had the lead going into the final day, and Colin Morikawa just outplayed him that day. That wasn't I didn't feel like Dustin choked. In the past, he's had some choke moments, but I think at this point he has all the experience in these majors. It didn't matter to him. Sunday, he went out and closed the show and did it big. 20 under par, Eddy Kool. That's huge at Augusta. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, 20 under par, 5 strokes. Yeah, man, he did it. He did it. Making things happen. And as you said, man, he went there and dominated. I was able to catch some of the headlines, and it was like, look, Dustin Johnson is butcher knife killing everybody on the course.
I'm telling you, bro. I mean, to win that tournament by 5 strokes, and like I said, he started the day 4 ahead. He had Sungjae Im on his heels early, and then you had this Cameron Smith, this young Australian kid that sort of came out of nowhere, and both of them were putting pressure on him from other parts of the course. Now, Dustin said that the last coming down the stretch that he didn't look at the leaderboard. Typically with the crowds at Augusta, you hear the roars go up, and you kind of know who did something good, and it might affect the way you played a little bit. He said at this point, he didn't really know. He just knew that if he played his game and stayed in the moment and played the way he knew he could play, that he had a good chance of closing the deal. And he did. And last week, I predicted that Rory McIlroy was going to win the Masters this year. And Rory finished at 11 under. Now, Rory started the first round on Thursday at 3 over par. Just say he shoots 2 under like most of the other field. He's right in the thick of this thing. Yeah, that would have been, just say he shoots even the first day, and he would have finished 14 under. He'd have been right in the mix. But nobody was beating DJ on this weekend. I mean, this was, like I said, you a lot of times you see the top teams get upset in postseason. You see the best players in golf, they don't win majors. This was the best player in the world playing the best I think he's ever played. Right now, DJ's the top of his game, man, and it was nice to watch him seal the deal instead of giving it up on Sunday. So, hey, man, congratulations, Dustin Johnson. That was awesome. That was an incredible tournament to watch. And our boy Tiger, man, he gave us a memorable moment on Sunday when he had a 10 on a par 3. And I know, Eddy Kool, I could have beat him on that hole on that day. All I had to do was get a 9, and I think I could have done it. But crazy thing about Tiger was, after he had that 10, he went on the best run of the tournament for himself personally. He birdied 5 out of the last 6 holes. It was amazing that it was almost like he got embarrassed into having to do something awesome. And Tiger played well overall throughout the tournament. Last week I predicted that he would make the cut and not finish, and he would still finish outside of the top 10. And take away that one lousy hole, he probably would have been right there. But it's just a matter with Tiger. He also was at a disadvantage for me for 2 things. One, he feeds off the crowd, and again, they weren't there. And 2, they had a situation with the first day not being able to get everyone's round in because they had lightning in the morning, and obviously with it getting dark earlier, they couldn't play as late. So over the course of Friday and Saturday, some of the guys had to play extra holes, and Tiger's day was Saturday where he had to do that. He played 8 or 9 extra holes, and you could see by the end of his full round, he was very gingerly bending over to pick up the ball. His back just got tired. Now, I don't think it affected him on Sunday, but over the course of Saturday, he just kind of wore down. He was tired, but man, good effort from Tiger. Masters is like home to him. It was awesome that he was the one that put the green jacket on DJ. Who knows if we ever see Tiger win another major again? The window is closing, definitely. But Still, all in all, it was a good performance for Tiger, but an incredible historic performance for Dustin Johnson.
Oh yeah, as always. Scotty D, do you think with Tiger giving Dustin Johnson the green jacket, do you want to kind of say this is somewhat of a passing of the torch per se?
I would say that you could consider it something like that. Yeah. And wouldn't it be something if they go back here in April? I mean, it's only what 5 or 6 months away now,
Hmm.
and Dustin won it again. Wouldn't that be crazy if you could win
Yeah.
the Masters twice in 6 months? I mean, that's something that has obviously never happened before because it's not played twice within 6 months. But in this crazy of times, that would be something else. And I tell you, I picked Rory McIlroy to win this past weekend. Don't put it past him to do it in the next Masters in April, because Rory typically I think has had some pressure on him because this is the only major he has not won. This is the one he needs for the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam. And after he got out of the gate slow in the first round, he didn't seem like he was bothered by the pressure of it. He went out and played really, really well, shooting 11 under for the tournament again after opening with a plus three round. I still think Rory can do it, man. I still think Rory is as good as anyone in the world when he's playing the top of his game. But having said that, Dustin Johnson was lights out this past weekend, hitting fairways. His iron play is incredible. He putts well. I don't know if you see his brother like lines up the putts. It's crazy the way they do that. He like I don't know what he's doing exactly. I need to do some research on that. But he stands over the path of the ball, and Dustin like zeroes in on it before he attempts his putts. He spends a lot of time, studying the green before making putts, but it's working because he's the best right now. No question about it. He's the best.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to get the W, and Dustin Johnson wins his first ever Masters. He brings it all the way back on to the state of South Carolina. That's right. As a proud South Carolinian, I can't do nothing but clap,
Yeah, man.
round of applause for the one, the only Dustin Johnson. Well, Scotty D, guess what time it is?
What time is it, Mr. Eddy Kool?
We're about to talk about week 10 of the NFL season. Just think, man, a while back, we didn't know if we were going to have a season, but now we're 10 weeks deep into the NFL season.
How about you? Here we go.
Yeah, a whole doggone 10 weeks. And we had a lot going on. This is going, and did you notice something like Sunday? There was like 5 or 6 4 o'clock games.
Yeah, they were definitely a lot later. I was actually glad because I didn't watch a lot of the 1 o'clocks because I was watching the golf tournament. But yeah, there was several late games this week. I must have just been the way the schedule was working out for this week. But yeah, it was highlighted, I guess, by the Buffalo Bills Arizona Cardinals game. That game ended up being incredible game with a most memorable ending.
Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins, he dunked on not one, not two, but 3 Buffalo Bills cornerbacks. He got dunked on. They got mossed. That's what happened. All 3 of them. And say what you may, man. Devontae Adams say, I'm the best wide receiver in the league. Julio says, I'm the best wide receiver in the league. My personal opinion, you can't talk about the best unless you talk about the Andre Hopkins of the Arizona Cardinals. Think about it. Arizona got him for the cheap. Got him for the cheap. And look at the Texans. Yesterday, they played the Browns. Only thing they can do was muster up 7 total points.
7 points. That's oh man.
Yeah, 7 total points, and the weather was bad in the Cleveland area as well too. The game had a weather delay. So, with that being said, Tampa Bay, they get back to their winning ways as they just thumped the Carolina Panthers 46-23. It started to be a good game at first, but then they just caught fire and ran away. I guess they were embarrassed from losing to the Saints last weekend, getting damn near shut out. As I mentioned, the Browns improved to 6-3 with a 10-7 win over the Titans. The Cardinals, they beat the Bills 32-30 via the Hail Mary. The Bills almost had it, but Kyler Murray said, "Ha, not so fast." The Rams, they topped the Seattle Seahawks 23-16. The Dolphins, yes, the Dolphins, surprise, guess what they do? They beat the Chargers 29-21.
They're 6-3 now. They're all of a sudden they're 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3 with Tua time, baby. Tua
Yeah.
Tagovailoa. I got it right the first time. And Scotty D. Speaking of names that we kind of botched, I figured out how to finally pronounce the kid from Clemson's name, his last name. It is DJ Uiagalelei. Yeah, not ukulele like we've been pushing. It's Uiagalelei. It's a whole lot of stretching, a whole lot of putting together. But yeah, I don't want to disrespect his name, but we thought it was ukulele, but it's Uiagalelei. So put some respect on that DJ's name. And then the Packers beat the Jaguars 24-20. I don't know what's going on there, man. They should have smoked the Jaguars at home.
Yeah, they get a little scare there, I guess.
Yep, and the Steelers, they remain undefeated at 9-0 as they bust up the Cincinnati Bengals. They're the Bengals, don't let that record fool you. They're pretty tough. They're pretty game, but not game enough to defeat the division rival Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Scotty D, at a quick glance, let's take a quick look at the NFC North. The Ravens, they lost to the Patriots last night in a slop fest.
Oh, so a mess.
Yeah, so at the top, so at the top of the division, we got the Steelers at 9-0, Ravens at 6-3, and the Browns at 6-3, and the Bengals at 2-6-1. Scotty D, because this be the division in the AFC that gives us 3 playoff teams.
I would say yes, except that I'm not putting it past the Patriots at this point to have a little bit of a resurgence, because we were writing them off a few weeks ago. They've now won 2 games in a row. They're 4-5. I know that's not great at this point in time, but Buffalo losing at the buzzer yesterday brings them back in. That reels them in at 7-3. They're not walking away with that division. They would have been 8-2. That would have been all but over with, I think, at that with that. But yeah, I think the Steelers and Ravens, I'm liking them to be in. The Browns, I'm not sure yet if they can hold on. I kind of think they will. Indy and Tennessee, they're the only 2 going to be going from the South. The Texans and Jaguars are out. And then the Broncos and Chargers are not going from the West. So we got the Raiders in contention at 6-3. Tennessee and the Colts, both those teams in the South are 6-3. Ravens and Browns are both 6-3. The Dolphins are 6-3. Man, it's like no one is pushing themselves away from the rest other than the Steelers and the Chiefs, and we kind of expected the Chiefs to do that. I think a lot of people may have picked the Ravens over the Steelers to begin, but that's not going to happen. Those teams are going in opposite directions. The Ravens they don't look good to me at this point. I think the shine is wearing off of the Lamar Jackson situation. He's and there was a lot of the elements were terrible this past Sunday night, but he's starting to put together some games that don't resemble a guy who was the MVP of the league last year, Eddie.
Yeah, man, Lamar Jackson. You know what? I think it's a classic case, Scotty D, of the league catching up to him.
Yeah, I mean, now that he's got some tape, defensive coordinators are figuring him out a little bit, and that has tendency to happen with quarterbacks who values the run so much, who uses the run so much, and that this guy's a running quarterback. I mean, there's no other way to really say it. He's not a pocket passer. It's not like he can't throw the football, but you have to also think these wide receivers who game plan with him all week, they work hard to get open, and they turn around and he's running. He's taking off. That's got to be frustrating. It's got to wear on an offense a little bit. It has to. You're out there working hard to get open, and just when you think you're getting open, you turn around and your quarterback's already broken the pocket, and he's running again. That would get old to me, I think, as a receiver. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what goes on in their locker room. I know there was already some talk with him and Hollywood Brown last week about it, and Lamar Jackson said, "Yeah, I do need to get him the ball more." That could be the first crack, in the surface there. But I don't know. I think the Ravens are headed down the wrong path, and Cleveland won a game by scoring 10. And I know that Chubb could have scored at the end. They could have scored more. He could have had another touchdown there, and a lot of people were mad at him over that. whatever. But the thing is with the NFL, I've said this time and again, you can't go overboard, deciding who's great and who's terrible based on 1 week. I mean, it happens every week where you just, man, all of a sudden you love a team or you think a team's going the wrong way. But at this point, we have data after 10 weeks to suggest that some of these teams aren't as strong as we thought earlier in the season, and some are better than we thought. So there we are with the AFC.
Yep. Now over the NFC, the Eagles. Woo, free falling. It's not looking.
What in the world?
It is really not looking good for the Fly Eagles Fly. I was watching Sports Center like an hour ago while I was preparing dinner, and Doug Peterson is definitely in his bag, in his feelings, in some type of way, and he's frustrated. He's rightfully so, man. He is frustrated with these Eagles, but they still sit on top at the NFC East at 3-5-1. The Giants, Danny Dimes, guess what? He didn't trip and fall this time. He took the ball and ran to the end zone, scored a touchdown. Alex Smith came back for the first time in forever, crooked leg and all, but guess what, though? He looked pretty good, passed for over 390 yards, and your Cowboys, Scottie D, were chilling on a much-needed bye week. I'm not gonna be the dead horse. We know the NFC East is a mess.
It's terrible, but out of the 4 teams right now, the Giants look the best.
Yep.
They won 2 games in a row and had a third in their hand the week before that, and they lost. They let Tampa Bay off the hook, and the game that Dak Prescott got knocked out, the Giants, that was a winnable game for the Giants as well. So they're 3-7. Like Bill Parcells always said, your record, you are what your record says you are.
Mm-hmm.
But they are very, very close to being having like 5 wins and 5 losses. I mean, they're very close to being a 500 team. And just when I keep thinking Philly's going to take control of this division, and when I say take control, it doesn't mean be good. It's just saying, be 8-8 and win the division is kind of what I was thinking. And I thought Philly was headed that way, and they dropped this one. And man, it's just like every week now you're wondering what's going on with that team. I know they're hurt, but they do have their quarterback, and he's not carrying them to wins. And the Giants actually seem to be buying into. They're playing well into. What's his name? Joe Judge, their new head coach, who I never really knew much about before they hired him. They seem to be buying in a little bit. And Jason Garrett, oh my gosh. What if Jason Garrett wins the division? Oh, man.
It'll be the ultimate the Dallas. But, I mean, anything is possible in the NFL, man. I'll tell you, man, anything is possible. How about the Lions at the last second getting a win over the football team? And then what else did we have here? We got the Saints. The Saints got a win, but it came at a cost of Drew Brees suffering a punctured lung and 5 fractured ribs, and he's going to be out for an extended period of time. And Jameis Winston, 30 for 30. He got his eyes fixed. He'll be taking over for Drew Brees until he gets better. Now, Scottie D, what are we to make of this situation with the New Orleans Saints?
Wow, I didn't realize that's the extent of Drew Brees' injury. He's got 5 broken ribs, huh? 5 cracked ribs.
Yep, 5 cracked ribs, and it turned out to be a punctured lung, and it results to be a collapsed lung. Yeah.
Now, have they given a timeline? Have they said like 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks? Have they said any of that?
They have. At last check, they have it. I think, according to Sean Payton, we'll find out on Wednesday from a timetable standpoint.
All right, so this is week 10. We get the Saints have played 9 games, with 7 to go here. Boy, if with their record at 7-2, and Jameis Winston stepping in, I think this team still wins games and gets to the playoffs. Now, do they win that division? They have a 1-game lead over Tampa Bay as it stands, and obviously the tiebreaker would be over Tampa Bay. I think they've won enough games already that with Jameis Winston, 2-3 more wins, and you have Drew Brees back ready for the postseason. I'm sure Brees should be ready to go by the end of the regular season. I would guess. But I mean, this definitely opens the door for Tampa Bay to get to win that division and get the home field. Green Bay's at 7-2. I mean, as far as like home field in the whole playoffs, Green Bay seems to be in the driver's seat. But this, yeah, that was a huge that was a huge thing that happened. And honestly, I didn't think the tackle was dirty. Did you? I mean, they threw a flag on the player for the sack, but he didn't actually land on Brees. He hit him and came down like sideways with him. I kind of think that's how you want to hit the quarterback these days, not to drive him in the ground, not to put your weight on top of him, land on him. And I didn't see that. I thought actually this was a clean hit.
He probably got some home cooking, man. Drew Brees probably got some home cooking. But I also saw again on ESPN that they believed that Drew Brees was hurt coming into the game because they played the Buccaneers last week, so it might have been a lingering injury, and then this happened some more, and then now here we are, man. This is starting to be an off the occasion thing, man. You remember last year Drew Brees had a wrist issue. Now he got the lung and the rib issue, man. Could it be a sign of age, or what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think so. It's tougher at that age to recover from things. Things last and linger on you a little bit more. I think this is his last year, no matter what happens. I don't think we see Drew Brees going forward. But I mean, it was just the way that he got hit and the way he landed in this situation. I think was just unfortunate. I mean, I don't think that really had anything to do with his age. Just he's got hit and landed hard. And I hate to see it. I hated it. I'm a fan of Drew Brees, and I want to see him, succeed. And I don't want to see any quarterbacks get knocked out. Especially when you have a chance like they did of really taking control of the NFC. But like I said, Jameis Winston, he's going to be working with Sean Payton, and maybe, he'll be able to help him with his interception problem, because the dude threw for 5,000 yards last year.
Yeah, he threw for 5,000 yards last year with jacked up eyesight.
It's not like he can't throw the football. It's just that he's had problems taking care of the football in the past. So, I think, Sean Payton is creative offensively. They're going to be mixing in some Taysom Hill. They got Kamara. They're going to be fine. They're not going to. This isn't going to prevent them from a postseason berth by any means. But like I said, Jameis Winston, he wins 3-4 games for them, which I believe he will do, and they'll be on the way to the postseason by the time Brees heals up. So who knows? Maybe this is one of those situations in the long term will be a blessing in disguise, where Drew Brees, while healing the rest of his body, his arm, is feeling better for the postseason push, because this is it for him. I really think that, if he doesn't get back to the Super Bowl this year, that ship is sailed. I just think this is going to be his final season either way. I mean, I'm telling you that as my opinion, not like I have any insider information, or Brees didn't call me and tell me that. That's just kind of the feeling I'm getting. But hey, Drew,
you don't have the Mort report on speed dial, Chris?
I don't. But Drew, if you're listening, and you probably are, call me. We'll talk about it. You got some time now.
Yeah, talk a little bit. Scottie D, in the NFC West, we got 3 teams tied at 6-3. The Cardinals, Rams, and the Seahawks. Are the Cardinals ascending and the Seahawks backpedaling and the Rams being sneaky?
It seems to be all that.
Yeah.
Like you said, yeah. A month ago, I thought this division was far and away the best, because the 49ers still looked pretty good. Obviously they've been battling injuries, like incredible amount of injuries. So they've kind of faded out of the picture. But Seattle looked really good to me, and I thought, well, when they're going to get a little bit of help on defense, they got Jamal Adams back, and I just forget. I'm drawing a blank here. The guy they traded to get from the Bengals, Carlos Dunlap. They brought him in, And the Rams, to me, have looked weak at times, and I thought the Cardinals were just right behind. And now here we are; those three teams all locked in at 6-3. So yeah, the NFC West is still up for grabs.
Yeah, man, the NFC West is still up for grabs, man. And Kyler Murray, man, MVP conversation. That might be a little bit early to say, but yeah, man, they had a pretty good showdown between him and Josh Allen yesterday. Josh Allen is another guy that you cannot count out. I think that's what Josh Allen needed was some time to really work on himself as a passer and also get a top flight wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, who's been on fire since he got to Buffalo. Because I was thinking like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but it's working over in Buffalo, so everything is well. And as you stated, man, the 49ers, they're just falling apart at the seams. They've been battling injuries and coronavirus since week 1, so they've had a disadvantage already. But somehow, some way, they show up and try to make it the best they can. They're 1-4 at home, but their road warriors are going 3-2, but they lost 3 straight. The Rams, they're starting to pull it together. They had a pretty solid defense. And the Seahawks, look, I've never seen the Seahawks defense look this bad. The Legion of Boom is long gone to say the least. So, Scottie D, what did we learn this week on week 10 of the NFL?
We learned that I think DeAndre Hopkins is the baddest wide receiver in the NFL currently.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that the the Giants might be the best team in the NFC East.
Yep.
And we learned that great quarterbacks like Tom Brady can have a bad game and still be the man because he looked pretty good in his rebound game this week. So, yeah, I mean, I think another thing Parcells used to say is you used to when he was coaching that you really got a feel of how good your team was when you got around Thanksgiving, and that's right where we're around. We're a week away from the Thanksgiving Sunday, the Sunday leading into Thanksgiving. So that this is the time that the teams really we're going to start seeing some separation here, and it's going to be a fun final stretch.
Yep, the Panthers did give them a run for their money. It was back and forth, but then Tampa Bay and damn Tom Brady, they broke loose and they hung 56 on the Panthers. Now, as a Carolina Panthers fan, yeah, we stink. I'm not gonna lie. This is the biggest loss of the season. We just got outmanned, outnumbered, killed and destroyed. Our secondary is garbage, and we just need some guys to step up. But growing pains in the man, it's some growing pains in Queen City. I'm just really impressed by Robbie Anderson and Teddy Bridgewater and the chemistry what they have. Chris McCaffrey's going to be out for an extended period of time. I think he hurt his shoulder again. But then again, we got the Cannon kid who almost ran back a touchdown yesterday. And also Mike Davis from the University of South Carolina, because South Carolina, they always have a Mike Davis on deck. Also, in college football, real quick, Will Muschamp, he gets fired after 5 seasons. Saw that coming, and that's it for the Will Muschamp coverage. And that's it for week 10 of the NFL. A very action-packed weekend. And Scottie D, we got next week, week 11. We got some big games going on. We got the Titans and the Ravens next week. We got the Jets and the Chargers. Still bad. Will the Jets get their first win over the Chargers? Highly doubted. And then we got the Packers and the Colts. The Colts have a pretty stout defense. I think they're the number 3 defense in the league, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we got some stuff to look forward to next week as well too. And speaking of some stuff to look forward to, Scottie D, guess what time it is?
What time is it?
Oh man, it is time for our favorite portion of the show. But before I spoil it, hey yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. Hey, look, 80 plus episodes in, I ain't got to repeat myself, and she ain't lying. But before we go any further, I want to reintroduce to y'all somebody.
Who?
Who? Scotty D, I'm glad you asked. They finally set him free from Max Speed Shop, and he said, I got stuff to do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back the Almighty B-Live.
Man, oh man, what's happening? What's going on in the world today? Every time I say that, it just has more meaning every single week. I have missed you guys so much. It's good to have the three of us back together, even if it's just for half of the show. But life happens, work happens. I try to do my thing on the bowling lanes. Try to keep my hobby outside of work going. So that's where I'm at here and there, throwing the rocks down the lanes. I still suck at it, but it's okay. It's therapeutic. Yeah. It's all right. I'm gonna get there though. But man, oh man. Let's talk to the people. Let's see.
That sounds just like B Live. How'd you do that, Eddie? How'd you come up with a recording? It sounds just like B Live.
Easy. I called his ass.
That's really him.
It's me, Scotty D. It's me.
It's really you. All right. Well, welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back, and I'm so glad that the Cowboys still suck.
Yeah. Well. I can't argue a valid point.
Let me before we jump into the choices. I'm sorry, I have to put this out there. The leader of the NFC East is the Eagles at 3-5-1. Then you've got the the Washington WTFs at 3-7.
Joe Gaffkin's WTFs.
God Almighty, the potato skins, and then you've got the Giants and the Cowboys fighting for last place at 2-7. I'm sorry, I had to put that out.
The Giants have just won 2 in a row. They're 3-7. They're about to take command of this division.
Yep.
So
I mean, what as a Cowboy fan, what do I have to do to lock up a top 5 draft pick? Come on. I need these guys to win some games.
Well, what's my man? Stephen Jones already said that McCarthy's coming back and Dak is coming back. So
yeah, I love when they come out and say smart things.
I'm sorry. I digress. We're here for the people, the choices of the voices. But I just had to throw that out there. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
should have left you without a dope.
Matter of fact, it's been so long. I think Clemson was undefeated last time you were.
Oh, you dirty! you dirty! Oh man!
Am I going to use the dump button already this week?
Wow.
Ooh,
I think that was yet another fact.
Jug. But there'll be a moment in time. All roads lead to Dabo. There'll be a moment. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there in a second. But again, the people, the voices. Let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
Choices of the voices, and his last name in ukulele is Uiagalelei. Yeah, I really stretched my face and my lips to pronounce the Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei. Exactly. All right. As we said, this is the choices of the voices, and you know how we do it. Scotty D asks the questions. Y'all give us the answers. We pick at you. We talk about you. But all in all, it is good fun, and you all have been good sports in 80+ episodes. And with that being said, Scotty D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
Well, I asked, reaching out to any sport, to name a performance by an athlete that you thought was courageous or inspirational, where a guy just kind of reached down and dug deep, whether it was a single game, a season, whatever, whether they're dealing with injury, personal loss, family crisis, anything, just anything that you thought, your choice, your voice of what you thought was a memorable performance. And we had some that I thought we might see and some that I had not even thought of. So Eddy Kool, take it away. What do we get here?
All right, here we go. Let's get this little party started, shall we? Jana Clem, the only person in the history to get in the penalty box and then get pardoned out of the penalty box. Good to see you again, honey. She says Kurt Schilling's bloody sock performance in the World Series.
Yeah. Actually, that was a championship game. That was against the Yankees.
Yep.
So I hated that one even more. Next.
Neat.
Yep, his little soft spot there. Terrible, Pete Talansky. He says Derek Redmond in the 1992 Olympics. Now, at first, the name didn't ring a bell, but we found out that back in the 1992 Summer Olympics, that was the runner that fell and his father came and helped him up. That right? That correct?
Yeah, he was his dad was in the stands, and I forget. I don't believe they were American, but he came down out of the stands and helped his son up, and he had already lost the race, but he walked him across the finish line, and he said he had to finish, and I wanted to do it with him, and you can't watch that and not like break down and cry. It's such a touching moment. So that was a great one, great example there by Pete.
He's not so terrible after that answer.
Not so terrible. Not so terrible.
All right.
Soft-hearted Pete Talansky.
Oh boy, soft-hearted Pete Talansky.
And you already know he's gonna come with something next week that's gonna bring him right back to being terrible, Pete Talansky.
Thanks for your participation, Pete. All right, Uncle Max, he said after losing everything in the Great Depression, Jim Braddock returns to boxing to win a string of fights, leading him to defeat Max Baer for the world heavyweight title against all odds. After the Great Depression, man, if you can come back from the Great Depression, you can come back from anything.
And I think Uncle Max was a senior in high school that year.
I was also going to say, as the only listener that was around during the Great Depression, our resident historian, Uncle Max, comes through in the clutch yet again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey, Uncle Max gives us a history lesson because I remember the name Jim Braddock, but I just didn't remember the era. But it was back in 1875. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow.
That's what actually they made the movie Cinderella Man about him.
Oh, okay, yeah, Cinderella.
Starring Russell Crowe.
Nice, Russell Crowe. Yeah, playing boxer. Nothing wrong with that. Will Berry. He said 1994 Cowboys, Scottie D's Cowboys versus the Giants. Emmitt Smith had a separated shoulder in the first half and came back to run for 163 and 2 trips to the end zone.
Thank you for appreciating that there, Brother Will. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a great answer.
That was a gutsy performance. Be-Li, what you think about that?
Next. All right, cool. since we just brushing off stuff, that's all right, cool. No one cares. Dun, 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 dun. All right.
All right, so here we go. We got Trey Dizzle, but guess what? We gonna save the best for last. We got Craig Burns. Craig Burns says Cam Neely was limited to only 22 games over 2 seasons in the 91, 92, and 92, 93 seasons. In 94, while still battling knee and thigh injuries, he managed to play in 44 games of the Bruins' first 66 games. He also did that. Correction. All he did was score 50 goals. That's all he did, fellas. He said, I have Bruins season tickets in the late 80s, early 90s, and watching him in person for that long leaves no doubt in my mind that he is the best power forward that I've seen play. Good old Cam Neely. Yeah, battling injuries, and all he did was score 50 goals. Like it was nothing.
Yeah, hockey players are a rare breed, man. Those guys are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I definitely have to agree with that. Hockey players, what's it called? The steely resolve of hockey players.
Yep. Steely resolve. I think Doris used that terminology for the wrong sport. That goes to hockey. Yeah, basketball.
Right.
Basketball has resilience. Hockey has steely resolve. You just get 3 teeth knocked out your mouth, spit them chicklets out, and go right back to playing. Water off a duck's back. You know what I'm saying? We got the best name in the game, Joe Comfort. He said, courageous can be defined by 2 simple words. Oh, check this out. Jack Youngblood. The legendary Rams defensive end played 3 playoffs games in 1979, including the Super Bowl with a broken freaking leg. All right. He said, did I forget to mention that he also played that year's Pro Bowl on that same broken leg? Back in 79, was it a 16-game season still, or was it?
It was, and that was Super Bowl 14 that they lost to the Steelers, and I remember hearing about him having a broken leg. I don't remember him playing in the Pro Bowl. I'm not disputing that, but I don't remember that. But him playing in the Super Bowl with a broken leg has been like a legendary thing that has been passed down through the years. I mean, how tough do you have to be to just say, I'm playing? I'm broken leg or not. But then to play in the Pro Bowl, that's even crazier.
The Pro. That's what threw me off was the Pro Bowl. Super Bowl, I get it. This is the big stage. Pro Bowl is an exhibition game. I get it. It's an all-star game, but yeah, I'm gonna sit this out, bro.
Yeah,
I'm good.
You can't get these guys to play healthy in a Pro Bowl these days, let alone with a broken leg.
Right. Man, oh man, yeah. The times, the ages have changed, but hey. That's why we do what we do. We love sports in all facets and forms.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. It's such and such gets selected to the Pro Bowl, and then the agent makes a phone call. Hey, man, I'm not. Hey, just I don't care if that check is $30,000. I'm not freaking playing. I've been playing all season. The team suck. I'm not going. And then gets replaced by an alternate. But yeah, he said, well, I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and play in this exhibition as well too. Tough, TUFF. Jack Youngblood is tough, TUFF. All right, here we go. We got Trey Dizzle. He said Tony Romo beating the Super Bowl contender San Francisco 49ers defense with a punctured lung and cracked ribs. Damn, sound like Drew Brees almost. Yeah, two of the most painful things that a human can ever have happen to them. He got the injury in the third play of the game. The Cowboys fell down 24-14. He missed the third quarter and came back in the fourth quarter, leading us, who is us, to a 10-point comeback and winning in overtime. Gutsy performance by Tony Romo.
Yeah, I remember that game. I'm pretty sure John Kitna was his backup that year, and he came in and played and didn't have a great game, but Tony Romo, I think I'm sure he missed a couple of games, and then they suited him up with a flak jacket. That's why I was trying to think earlier how much time he had missed that season when we were discussing Drew Brees' situation earlier. But Drew Brees, from what you tell me, Eddie, his injury is a lot more severe. But regardless, man, if broken ribs, I mean, I've had my ribs poked and don't feel like sitting up out of bed. Be able to play football with broken ribs is ridiculous.
I said I've slept wrong on the side.
Yeah,
and I'm not feeling this today, but yeah, oof. So I will. One time in my life, I will give credit to where credit is due with Tony Romo. I'll allow.
All right, he allowed it. Welcome back, Be Live. Thank you. You came in with a nice attitude here. We appreciate that.
Oh, it's about to get ugly. Don't worry about it.
Super ugly. All right. And Martin Tracy, he said, how about Holyfield overcoming getting his ear bitten off?
Yeah.
That's classic.
Tyson bit him a couple times.
Yeah.
I'll say, how do you respond to that? A grown man on your neck biting your ear. Get off of me.
Hey, but you know something that I just heard about a week ago. I saw Jim Gray being interviewed on one of the network TV shows, and he covered that fight, and he said that he tried to get an interview with Mike Tyson after the fight, and Tyson came out and he said he had never before seen a person's skull before. And he said he could see Tyson's skull above his eye from where he had been headbutted. And I remembered that he and Holyfield had butted heads and Tyson had been cut. I never realized how severe it was till I heard Jim Gray say that. And that's why Tyson was so crazed that night, where he kept getting headbutted by Holyfield, and then he just went and bit his ear off. I mean, that's crazy.
That's the part of the story you don't hear about. So I mean, yeah, maybe biting the man's ear is justified when he keep hitting you in the dome with his head.
Well, yeah, and I've heard Tyson before interviewed and say that he was angry about getting headbutted. But I never knew the severity of it, that it was really cracked open that good. That Jim Gray said he could literally see part of his bone over his eye from where he had been headbutted.
Yeah, and Holyfield got a big old head too.
Yeah, and so that's a couple times where post-fight interviews with Mike Tyson and his injuries, my back is broke. Spinal.
Spinal.
What?
Wildin'.
Oh,
the gift
man.
that keeps on giving. Fellas, is that Mike Tyson Roy Jones fight? Is this supposed to happen sometime this month, or is it PPD until further notice?
I really don't know. I think
I,
they are supposed to still do it, but I don't know.
yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I stopped following. Let me see.
All right, while B Live looks that up, we want to give a shout out to Jenna Clem, Terrible Pete Talansky, Uncle Max, Ill Will Berry, Trey Dizzle, Craig the Bruin Burns. Oh, you got a nickname, Craig. Craig the Bruin Burns. Here we go. And the best name of the game, Joe Comfort, and the one, the only, Matty Ice Martin Tracy for this week's participation in the Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, what's your standout gutsy performance?
Well, I was actually all set to talk about the Emmitt Smith broken or separated shoulder game that Will had cited earlier, because that actually the Cowboys, that was the year that Emmitt had held out early in the season, first two games, and they needed that game to win the division and get that bye week, and they won that game 16-13 in overtime, and they would go on to win the Super Bowl. So that was actually a pretty big game, and I thought about Bo Kimball shooting the left-handed free throws in the March Madness tournament after Hank Gathers had passed. But I had kind of forgotten about a very important one here in Pittsburgh, and that was on January 12th, 1993, the Penguins announced that their 27-year-old star Mario Lemieux had Hodgkin's lymphoma. Actually, they called it Hodgkin's disease back then, but it was a tumor that he had to have removed from his neck. He would have to have 22 radiation treatments. And in February, he had his final treatment and then went to Philadelphia and played that night, scored a goal and an assist. Mario Lemieux finished that season with 30 goals and 26 assists in the last 20 games. The Penguins went on a 17-game win streak, and Lemieux would win the scoring title that year with 160 points in 60 games. He won the scoring title with cancer, guys. I mean, that was a huge, huge deal for Pittsburghers around here. Unfortunately, we did not win the Stanley Cup that year. The Penguins did not win the Stanley Cup. They had already won back-to-back prior to that. But for Mario Lemieux to defeat cancer and then win the scoring title that year was something that we were all amazed. And I kind of had slipped my mind, but to me, that's my courageous sports performance. Be Live, how about you, buddy?
No, that was a great story. I definitely remember that, and that was just wow. That was something else. So the battle that he went through and to still come back and do that was incredible. Outstanding. Yes, it was. All right. Just side note. The Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson fight is scheduled for Saturday, November 28th.
Oh.
So it is still a go. There's not been too much news about it. Who knows? Not really. Whatever. Anyway,
Next.
Yeah. Anyway, when it comes to comebacks from injury, Eddy Kool, I'm going to go ahead and apologize to you for this one because there's none better. Just let me set the background real quick. Let me start off with hashtag All Roads Lead to Dabo.
Wait a minute. Is this where Hulk Hogan beats King Kong Bundy in WrestleMania 2?
Wow, not even.
Okay. I thought maybe this is Hulk Hogan, King Kong Bundy story. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, at this particular point in time, we're going to backtrack to 2013, where the South Carolina Gamecocks have now defeated the Clemson Tigers 45th straight time.
Oh, Lord.
And yes, and there's a picture of me and Eddy Kool and Smooth Star Walker and quite a few others, all Gamecock fans, and then just little old me in my Clemson jersey, all alone, while everybody's holding up five fingers.
Fool was good that night, though. It was.
Yeah, whatever. What did five fingers say to the face? Anyway. The following year in 2014, 2 weeks prior to the South Carolina Clemson game, Deshaun Watson tears his ACL during practice. The guy I was hurt. I didn't know what to do. A star is born, and now 2 weeks before the rivalry game, the Palmetto Bowl, he's going to be out with a torn ACL. or is he? He plays the South Carolina Clemson game with a torn ACL, wearing a knee brace, and all he does is go 14 of 19 passing for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, he rushed for 13 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on a torn ACL.
We got smoked.
Clemson goes on to win 35-17, ending the 5-game losing streak to the Gamecocks. And as of today, South Carolina has yet to beat us since. And it's now going to be we're on a 6-game winning streak. And because of COVID-19, it is a 7-year streak. Actually, what do you mean? Actually, y'all decided not to play. The SEC backed out. Bunch of punks. We left the game open, so we decided to play the Citadel instead of South Carolina because South Carolina didn't want to lose. And they're the biggest losers this week anyway because Will Muschamp finds a way during COVID-19 to lose his job when every program is struggling for finances. The Gamecocks, South Carolina, they decide, screw this, we're going to buy this man out and get him off of our sideline at a tune of $15.7 million. That's how bad they wanted Muschamp out. Are you kidding me? Clemson, all roads lead to Dabo. Deshaun Watson, come on, there's no greater comeback than that. He said he is determined to end this streak, bad knee and all. Yes, sir.
As you should have told the Hulk Hogan story.
Cut it out,
brother.
What you gonna do when the Clemson Tigers run roughshod?
Not play. Have the conference say, "Hey, we're not gonna play this year." I guess that's what we did. But as far as I'm concerned, man, the Muschamp era is over with. It should have been ended sooner. But yeah, all bad things must come to a tragic end. Yeah, we wanted him out that bad. Just take this money and get the hell on.
Yeah, right. That's almost honestly that's worse than Florida State and Willie Taggart. That's worse. Man, oh man, just whoo! They said the 3 straight 50 plus points allowed. No, you got to go, bro. That
was overdue.
Yeah, overdue. All right, and so that leaves me as I pick myself up off the floor and take a sip of my drink and get myself back together.
He just beat you up pretty good there, Eddy Kool. You in the Gamecocks.
I cannot feel my left big toe. But anyways, gutsy performance. Let's talk about Terrell Owens and his performance in Super Bowl 39. We got the Patriots going back again, smack dab in the middle of a dynasty. Then we got Donovan McNabb finally going to the Super Bowl after the Eagles had 1,001 trips to the NFC title. Finally get their Super Bowl 39. Donovan McNabb field throwing up, can't focus. Of course, they lose, but earlier in that season, Terrell Owens broke his leg and he was sidelined for a good portion of the season. But he said, you know what? I'm going to play in the Super Bowl. And he played in the Super Bowl with a partially fractured leg, surgically repaired, not even 100% well.
He did.
And he played to the tune of 14 targets, 9 receptions, 122 yards on a partially functioning, semi-broken leg. Boss. You kind of wish that Terrell Owens would have won that Super Bowl. He could have damn near single-handedly won that Super Bowl. But of course, Deion Branch, he had 133 yards, no touchdowns. And a gutsy performance by Terrell Owens who overcame that adversity. And I got another one too as well. It was mentioned in the last few episodes. Brett Favre playing after his father was passing, and he threw 4 touchdowns in the first half, over 390 yards. And you would never think that Brett Favre's father would have passed away or had anything going on with his, Brett Favre-esque performance. So yeah, that's my 1 and 2. Brett Favre playing after learning that his father's passed away, and Terrell Owens effort in the Super Bowl on a losing end, 9 receptions, 122 yards, and Donovan McNabb throwing up and choking. I know our boy JR is gonna give us hell, but they choked. But
that was a great performance by T.O. though. That's a good call, Eddie. I hadn't even thought about that one. I actually gained a lot of respect for Terrell Owens. I mean, I lost it, the next season anyway. But for that night, I did give him a lot of respect, a lot of credit for playing through that and playing well, man. He had a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, that didn't take long. So yep, okay. Scottie D gave his. B Live gave his. I gave mine. With that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, just to be on topic, this is going to be one of these choices for the choices. Which of these did you find to be your most memorable Thanksgiving football moment? Just of these three, which is your favorite? The 1993 Leon let snow football blunder, the 1998 Jerome Bettis situation where he called tails, but the referee said, no, you didn't. He gave the Lions the ball, and then the Steelers lost in overtime. Or the 2012 butt fumble, Mark Sanchez running into his own center, right into the rear end, and dropping the ball against the Patriots. So which of those is your favorite of those three Thanksgiving memorable moments? Leon let snow blunder, Jerome Bettis heads or tails, or the Mark Sanchez butt fumble? That's what we'll talk about over Thanksgiving break here.
Turkey buns.
That's a classic question.
All right, you know what time it is. We going home. They're giving me to go home cue. I'm going to eat dinner again, editing wizardry, and rounding in the third base. Going to slide into home without hurting myself or taking out the catcher. Move, Buster Posey. We're going to go home with another round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. To entertain, educate, and enlighten. I'm going back to doing this day in history because I have some interesting topics. And with that being said, I'll go first. Now, try your best not to laugh at this one, guys, but on this day in history, back in 1884, cops arrest boxer John L. Sullivan in the second round for being cruel. Yeah.
In the middle of the
they say, this is it. We got to arrest you. You're being cruel. You're being cruel. Now, I've tried like a mug to figure out why. And I really can't find anything like dating back to that, but you got to be some dude to get arrested in the middle of a fight for being cruel. Now listen, man.
I was going to say that to our listeners right now, for our next episode, we're going to consult with our resident historian, Uncle Max.
You might beat me to that one. You beat me to that one. I was going to say he was in grade school when that happened. You beat me to that one. I was sitting on that joke, B-Live. You jumped me.
Oh God!
Well, I mean, Uncle Max was talking about something that happened during the Great Depression. So I mean, you know.
I was sitting on that one.
I'm sorry.
Oh man, we love you, Uncle Max.
Yeah, man, we love you, Uncle Max. Hey, look, if we ain't picking at you, you need to be concerned. You need to be concerned. But it's all love, Uncle Max.
Oh man, so yeah.
Yeah, man, mistake. That was good. I mean, I opened the door, you walk right through it as expected. Yeah, so John L. Sullivan on this day in history back in 1884 got arrested for being cruel. Now, another interesting fact about John L. Sullivan, he is known as the Boston Strong Boy, and his fistic holiness Wow, what kind of name is that? Pretty prestigious, if you will. He got this little handlebar mustache going on. And he was also recognized as the first heavyweight champion of gloved boxing. Yeah, so he was beating him up with the fist, with the bare fist. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we just talked about Mike Tyson biting off an ear, but John L. Sullivan got arrested in the middle of a fight for being cruel. Over to you, Scottie D. I can't believe they did this.
Another interesting fact about John Sullivan, they called him Sully. All right. My first pepper point, sticking to the fight game, got to give a shout out to UFC fighter / announcer Paul Felder, who last Monday woke up knowing that he was going to be covering a fight featuring Rafael dos Anjos on Saturday night, only to later that day accept the fight with him himself. He cut 20 pounds in 4 days, and he did lose a questionable split decision. I'll get more to that in a minute. I guess Felder has been training for a marathon or biathlon, so he was in good running shape, but he wasn't able to overcome the dos Anjos, who was trained better in fight shape. But for him to step up on short notice, he actually saved the card by stepping into the main event. So Felder was the MVP of the night. However, I thought he won 1 round, possibly, out of 5. 2 other judges gave dos Anjos all 5, and 1 judge decided to give Paul Felder 3 rounds and a split decision, 3 rounds of 2. That was impossible. Dirty things happen with judges in the fight game, and I'll get more to that in my second pepper point. Be Live, over to you.
All right. My pepper points this week will surround the state of college football. And I'm going to start off with the AP voters. This past week was a little bit unprecedented because not only did you have 3 postponements in the top 5, you also had a bye week as Clemson did not play this past week. So the only team in the top 5 that played this past week was Notre Dame. Going into the week, the AP polls gave Notre Dame 2 first-place votes. Alabama had a majority of them. I think Ohio State had a couple as well. With Notre Dame being the only team that played, they won in decisive fashion against Boston College. They lost a first-place vote. Where do they do that at? And also, come to find out, there is a voter that still votes Clemson higher than Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame beat Clemson. And I can understand why, because Clemson was down 4 defensive starters and their starting quarterback. But man, just you got to go with the product that's on the field. There will be another chance, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But fellas, between all of the postponements and stuff and the cancellations, the college football season is in jeopardy for the most part. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking in the next 4 to 5 weeks as games move into the middle of December. A couple of the conference championships are moved all the way to December 19th, which really moves right into your bowl season, where now even with your college football championship, where some teams would have 3, sometimes 4 weeks to prepare, now you're looking at not maybe 10 days. I think the semifinal games are on January 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they're on January 2nd. So they'll have a couple of weeks prepared, but it's definitely not the normal amount. There's a lot of moving and shaking going on right now. So college football, COVID-19, 2020, we shall see. Eddy Kool
on the season finale of 2020, because that's what it feels. Oh my God, that's what it feels like. All right, on this day in history, back in 1956, Syracuse fullback and future NFL Hall of Famer of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Brown scores an NCAA record 43 points versus Colgate. He was the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, the kickoff returner, and the punt returner. He did it all. I don't know if he was playing all those positions, but it damn near seems like it. Who in the hell scores 43 points individually against one team in football? Unless you're a kicker. But then again, Jim Brown was a man amongst boys and cut from a different cloth. Over to you, Scottie D.
He was a stud. All right, back to the fight game. This past Saturday night, Terrence Crawford, who's considered to be the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing right now, he solidified that stance by stopping challenger Kell Brook in the fourth round. He knocked him through the ropes and finished the fight. Hopefully, we'll see finally Terrence Crawford take on Errol Spence. You know how that whole boxing deal is, where you can't get the same guys out of the promotions to fight each other. He's talking about fighting Manny Pacquiao, but most of us want to see him fight Errol Spence. Anyway, the controversy, though, of the night happened in the super flyweight rematch in the co-main event, where Andrew Maloney was trying to regain his title against Joshua Franco. And after the end of the first round, the referee said that there was a headbutt that had closed the eye of Franco. And after the second round, they stopped the fight. They would not let him continue. They said the eye was completely swollen shut and that he would not be able to continue. However, it took 26 minutes after the fight was over to declare that the fight was going to be a no decision. They were standing by the referee's initial decision that the swelling that happened by a headbutt. Couldn't see this dude's skull because it didn't happen. The Las Vegas Commission, they stuck by the referee, and it was a ridiculously terrible call. You could see on the ESPN showed the replay over and over and over again of Maloney sticking a left jab into the eye of Franco and the eye just getting progressively worse. They decided that a headbutt caused it. That never happened. Just another black eye on many black eyes in the sport of boxing, and I hated it. Be Live, over to you. A black eye.
A literal black
from
eye.
A black eye.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I did not consult our research department when it comes to what I'm going to talk about in college football. I didn't consult. Yeah. So, but I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to call it. I'm going to say it is what it is. Army versus Tulane. I still don't know what a green wave is, but we're just going to go with it. But I'm pretty sure that this was the first ever interception on a kickoff return I've ever seen.
Say it again.
An interception on a kickoff return. Army's trying to run a trick play where they start off the kickoff return and then tries to throw it across the field, a lateral to the other side, and Tulane was not fooled in the slightest. He steps right in front of the lateral and is like, nope, I'm going to go ahead and grab this and I'm going to run it for a touchdown. And ladies and gentlemen, you've witnessed yet another example from your boy Be Live and hashtag what happened. They've shown that replay 78,000 times. I still can't believe it. Like, you just didn't even look. You just said, oh, yep, they're fooled. I have the ball on this side. Nobody's going to be on that side of the field. No. They saw that clear as day. Interception. Give me that. Pick six on a kickoff return for a touchdown. College football, COVID-19, 2020.
You think you've seen it all, huh?
Yes, sir. Eddy Kool.
Yeah.
Eddy Kool.
It's still 2020, and it's not over yet. Far from over. Stay tuned for the season finale of 2020. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, man, I got to get this voiceover working, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at what WTF is a green wave, and it got something to do with traffic lights. I don't know. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. On a somber note, we lost a legend this past weekend. The Golden Boy, Paul Hornung, a legendary Green Bay Packers great, Paul Hornung. The last running back to wear a single-digit number. Paul Hornung passed away at 84 years old. And Paul Hornung was one of those guys that did just about everything. He did just about everything. He was a quarterback in college for Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken. He also played a little bit of quarterback in the NFL, but he was a running fool for the Green Bay Packers from 57 to 66, and he was on the Saints practice squad in 1967. Paul Hornung also participated in first ever Super Bowl one. The 1961 MVP. He led the league in rushing touchdowns in 1960. A member of the 1960s NFL All-Decade Team, Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, the 1956 Heisman Trophy winner, and he is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the College Football Hall of Fame as well, too. Yep, he's a versatile player. Halfback, quarterback, place kicker. He did it all, did some of everything. Paul Hornung, one of the best to ever do it. And now he's gone. Paul Hornung, 2020. When will it ever end?
And another interesting fact about Paul Hornung, they called him Sully. All right. All right. This is kind of a big week for the NBA. The draft is going to be held this week, and a big trade came out Monday as Chris Paul is going to be headed to the Phoenix Suns. However, the big story is that the LA Lakers, the defending champions, are reportedly going to send their number one pick in the draft and Danny Green to the Oklahoma City Thunder for guard Dennis Schroeder as the Oklahoma City Thunder rebuilds. Danny Green is not going to be a Laker anymore. Bye, Danny Green. Bye, Danny Green. Bye. Bye, Danny Green. Over to you, Be Live.
Somebody seems excited about
just
Danny
a teeny
Green
bit.
no longer
Just
being
a teeny
on their
bit.
team.
Bye, Danny Green.
Wonder who.
Okay.
The Oklahoma City Thunder, just a side note, have 16 first-round draft picks in the next 7 years. So that's yeah. And so, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and finish off this pepper point. I said I'm going to cover college football. And this time, we're going to talk about the Heisman race, which, you know, your big names that are up there. Your some of these guys, Justin Fields in Ohio State, Mac Jones, Alabama, Kyle Trask in Florida, your boy, Trevor Lawrence in Clemson, which he was a clear-cut favorite until COVID, which blows my freaking mind that you go out because of COVID during this season, and now you're no longer the favorite because you caught COVID. But okay, I'm gonna take it back. It's all right. But Justin Fields is the favorite, even though he's only played 3 games. Trevor Lawrence has played 6.
Ooh, that Kyle Trask, though. Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask is lighting it up. He's had 2 6-touchdown games this season. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really looking like an Alabama-Florida SEC championship, and that has implications second to none. But I'm going to mention a couple things real quick because this is my time and whatever. A couple names that you might not recognize in the Heisman running that is actually up there. Grayson McCall out of Coastal Carolina University. He is 4th nationally in passing efficiency at 193.94. He has 16 touchdowns and just 1 interception. He's also Coastal's second leading rusher at 45.2 yards per game. So my man is doing it, and he's a dual threat, and a very big reason why Coastal Carolina is sitting number 15 in the nation. Gotta love it. So this is sort of the good part of COVID-19 2020. But also when it comes to the college football playoff, and I'm going to say it every week. I'm going to say it every week until hopefully somebody hears a brother. This is the year to have an 8-team playoff. Absolutely the year you have to do it, because there's not enough on the table for somebody to say who is the 4th and the 5th and the 6th bet. There's not enough on the table. I can tell you this right now. When it comes to the AP poll, which I've already talked about, that is a little flawed right now. I think that the top 4 teams are represented in the best possible way you can look at it. But there's a lot of argument out there. How can you right now say that Ohio State is the 3rd best team in the country when their opponents have a combined record of 2-9? They have not they've not played top tier talent. Penn State is a shell of their former selves. They started the season ranked number 8 in the country, mind you. They were ranked number 8 in the country before they ever played a single game. Penn State is now 0-4. Michigan is 1-3. Wisconsin's had 2 games canceled on them. They're undefeated right now, but there's no way. Anyway. Ohio State might be the 3rd best team in the country, but it's one of those things where you cannot leave out right now, because the way it's played out right now, there's nothing really derailing those 4 teams that are in the top 4. Only thing that will keep, Clemson runs the table, beats Notre Dame in the ACC championship. You keep both Clemson and Notre Dame in. There's no way you can take one of those teams out. You really can't. Ohio State wins out. I don't see anybody in the Big Ten, with the exception, I'm going to say this, with the exception of Indiana. Watch Indiana play. Surprising. They are playing really good football. And I think the only team that has a remote chance in HE double hockey sticks against Alabama could possibly be Florida. But I can tell you right now, Alabama's defense is leaps and bounds better than Florida's defense. Florida ain't stopped a nosebleed with it's Alabama, and then there's everybody else in the SEC. SEC is not dominant. Maybe you can sneak in Texas A&M, but I really not feeling it. But I'm telling you right now, there's no reason why Cincinnati doesn't get a chance in the playoff. That BYU doesn't get a chance in the playoff. And I'll be honest with you, this might be my home bias, but why
Put
not
them in.
Coastal Carolina? Put them in there. Give them a chance against the big dogs, and see if they can hold their own. If they don't hold their own, then you can say clear cut that they weren't supposed to be there. But right now, there's nothing saying that. They're undefeated. Maybe it's second tier talent.
Yeah, I think this year though they just want to get through this season. I think adding extra teams is ordinarily something I go for in a big way, but I think they just want to get to the finish line of this season, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But they added.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I think they want to get through this season and be done.
I know one team that really wants to get through this season is the South Carolina Gamecocks. You know that they're going to a bowl game. Just think of that. Kansas.
No, they stink. They
they're
suck.
going to a
they
bowl
lost
game.
to Coastal.
Right.
They
lost to Coastal bad
on national television.
It wasn't even close. But yeah, loved it. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. You're giving all these teams an extra game to do what, as opposed to giving the top 8 teams in the country one more chance. It should be a bubble format, mind you. The top 8 teams or the top 4 teams or whatever should be a bubble format, but that's another topic. And this is going well past the little segment of pep or whatever. I do apologize, but this is my time. But I will take this opportunity. I will concede my time when it comes to college football. COVID-19 2020 to be continued.
Interesting thing about Will Muschamp, they call him Sully. Eddy Kool, let's wrap this baby up, huh?
Well, the Will Muschamp era is over with, and they're talking about Hugh Freeze is a leading candidate of the South Carolina job, but I'll tell you what, even though he's doing a good job at it, liberty, I bet you they're going to have some violations. But with that being said, it's been another edition of Pepper, and this wraps up another action-packed and exciting and fun edition of the Sports Bros podcast. Fellas, it is great being back, and for the first time in a mighty long time, Be Live, where can they find you?
Well, as you can clearly see after the past few weeks of this podcast, you can find me at Max Speed Shop all the damn time. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I said that over the air. But yes, you can find me at 482 McPherson Church Road, home of the best burgers, brisket, the largest beer selection this side of the Mississippi. I lied. There's some places that got a lot more beer, like Riley Beer Garden has over 300 beers on tap. That's ridiculous. But I got a lot. I got to count it in a couple of days. Not looking forward to it. 0 out of 5 stars. Would not recommend. But come see your boy. We got some football specials Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Some beer specials. Come out and see me. And besides that, check me out here, Sports Bros Podcast. I'm going to be more active once I get some type of semblance of a normal life. And I'm thinking one of these days, very soon, you might catch another What Happened Wednesday, PPD. But check us out, Sports Bros Podcast. You can find us on Facebook, our Facebook like page. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter be at Sports Bros PCast, Instagram Sports Bros Podcast. You can check us out on our WordPress page. The Sports Bros podcast.wordpress.com. You can find us on our YouTube page, Sports Bros Podcast, some of our vintage videos. Still looking one of these days for another Scott's Thoughts and a Tranquilo Thursday. We're going to get back on the game. Scottie D over there with What Can Brown Do For You? But you know what I'm saying? I get it. Well, but also, just check out all of our social media platforms. If you have any questions, concerns, comments about the show, check us out via email, sportsbrospcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, say yes, sir.
It's been a long time. Did I miss anything? Okay.
Yes, all right.
Scottie D, where can they find you?
Yes, sir.
Well, you might find me at your front door if you order something from UPS in Western Pennsylvania. And Eddy Kool, if I'm not mistaken, are we going to be on hiatus next week?
Yes, the Sports Bros podcast. You got us back together for 1 week, but guess what? Next week, enjoy your family. Take care of yourself.
Right. So next week being Thanksgiving week, we will not be performing. So that you can find me at my house watching the Cowboys and getting fat, eating on Thanksgiving Day, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Eddy Kool.
Them and the Lions.
The Cowboys keep getting a Thanksgiving game.
You really had to make me say that.
Golly.
Who they play this year?
2-7.
The Redskins.
You know what? I'm gonna say it this year. I'm gonna say it. You said Cowboys are America's team at 2-7. Somehow, some way, Mike McCarthy made America great again. Okay, I'm out. Great. 2-7, 2020. If that don't epitomize what 2020 has brought to us, America's team.
He did say
Scottie
that.
D predicted would go 16-0. He
I was
said
talking
that
about 2021.
multiple episodes.
Well, anyways, with that being said, you can catch
so
me
bad.
on all the Sports Bros related social media profiles. Personally, you can catch me on Snapchat, Super Cool 5000, Cool Season on Instagram, Cool Season, all one word. Cool Season, all one word. That's on Instagram. I'm all over the place. I'm spreading myself thin. All the Sports Bros related content. Twitter, The Real Eddy Kool, and also I'm on this little new sports app called Sports Me. Sports Me is like TikTok, but for sports fans. We talk about sports and debate sports. You can check me out on there as well too. My handle is SportBro19, and of all places, I got an inbox about that on my LinkedIn profile, and it is pretty damn dope, fellas. I have to tell y'all about it. Anything else before we get up out of here and watch a little bit of wrestling, eat some dinner, and go to bed?
I think that's a wrap for us. Happy Thanksgiving, boys.
Yep. To each and every one of our listeners, I definitely want to say, please be careful out there. Just take care of yourself, take care of your family, just love on each other. I think I'm stealing some of this from Eddy Kool, but I think I'm stealing some of his lines right now.
You ain't did no stealing.
It's so long.
And it goes a little something like this. And then closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it. Wear your mask. Don't mask shame. Wash your hands, face, feet, and most importantly, yes.
Yep.
This has been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Bye. Did somebody burp?
Later. Yes, sir.
Bye, y'all.
I don't.
Hey, stick around, y'all. We got some bloopers for you.
Oh, come on.
Ooh, yeah.
And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for something else. For some little three. Yes.
There's a little something like that, huh?
A little something like that.
Yeah.
You know what's going on at the end of the show, right? Yes, sir. The highlights package. Yep. It's been a while. It's been a while. All right, fellas, you ready?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1.